Hello everybody, hello dear students, and welcome to English for Palestine, grade 12. Today we have an important structure in English, which is the reported questions. It's in your pupils book, Unit 7, Language, reported questions. The learning objectives, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to report yes-no questions, and number 2, to report WH questions. Let's start with this table. Reported indirect questions. The reported questions, you know that we have two types of questions. WH questions and yes-no questions. WH questions. The tense changes and the question word is kept. The fact is that once the question is told to someone else, it isn't a question anymore. It changes to a normal positive sentence. Okay, let's begin with this table. Examples of direct questions, and here we have examples for the same direct, which are turned into the reported form, the reported questions. 1. Where is the post office, please? In the reported form, it becomes as she asked me, the starter or the beginning of reporting, where, the WH word, the post office, the noun or the phrase or the subject of the question, and finally we end it with the main verb. Pay attention to change the main verb from present to the past. If it is in the past simple, we change it into the past participle form, which is had plus the past participle form of the verb. As you see, the starter, the WH word, then the phrase or the noun or the subject of the direct question, and finally the main verb. And don't forget to put it in a past form. If it is in present simple, it should or it must be written or changed to the past simple form. If it is in the past simple form, it's turned into the past perfect, had plus the past participle. Number 2, what are you doing? It's a direct question. It starts with also a WH word. So let's see how it is changed into the reported question. She asked me, starter, what, you is the subject here. The subject, if it is you, as here in this example, it should be changed according to the object after the starter here, after the verb of reporting. If it is me, you is changed into the pronoun I. So, what from the direct question here is the WH word, then the subject, it's you, and because the object here is me, it's changed to I, and the tense of this question is present continuous, are doing. The last step, after the WH word and the pronoun or the subject of the question, finally we should report the verb. So the present continuous is reported into the past continuous tense. Number 3, who was that fantastic man? She asked me who that fantastic man had been, the past form of was. Now, number 4, where do you live? She asked me where I, and live in the present, it comes lived in the past simple tense. Finally, where is Julie? She asked me where Julie was. Now, the second type of the reported questions, which is yes-no question. How to report yes-no questions. Yes-no questions are questions which start with an auxiliary. For example, one of the verb be forms is am, are, was, were, or one of the verb to do, does, did, verb to have, has, had, and one of the modals or modal verbs, for example, can, could, will. Yes, no questions. Words or the auxiliary verbs in yes, no questions, we start reporting with the word if or whether. So we use if or whether after the starter, after he asked me. Now let's see these direct questions which are formed in yes, no type and the reported questions. Number 1, do you love me? He asked me is the starter. Because it starts with an auxiliary, we write if or whether, then the subject I, you here is changed to I according to the object which is me, and finally the verb love in the present form because it starts with do, so it's a present simple. It is changed to the past simple tense. He asked me if or whether I loved him. Number 2, have you ever been to Mexico? She asked me if or whether I had ever been to Mexico. Note that have ever been is a present perfect tense. It is changed to had ever been, past perfect tense. Number 3, are you living here? She asked me if or whether I, and finally the verb was living there. Sorry, here we have a mistake. It's there and full stop. So she asked me if or whether I was living there. Because the tense here is present continuous, it is changed to the past continuous form. Finally, do you like chocolate? She asked me if or whether I liked chocolate. Now let's see this table. Look at it. You can refer to it to get the correct changes of the pronoun you when it comes in the direct questions, and we want to report it into indirect one. And also the changes of the verb in the reported questions. Here is the form of verbs in direct questions. Here is the reported form. Is, was, are, were, but pay attention. If the pronoun is you and we change it into he or she or it, the are is reported as was. Pay attention to this point. Was or were, the past perfect, had been, has or have, the reported is had, can, it is changed to could, will, would, must, or have to, had to, don't, and doesn't. When we have a negative direct question, we also reported it in a negative form. Don't, doesn't, they are reported as didn't, hadn't, plus the past participle form, the present simple in the past simple, and the past simple, it is reported to the past perfect, which is had plus the past participle form. Now, activity 1. Yes, no questions. Report the following questions. 1. Have you ever been to Mecca? He asked me. Number 2. Are you going to write an essay? The teacher asked her. Number 3. Will you create a Facebook account? She asked him. Please, 2 minutes and try to report them. Great. Let's check up your answers. Number 1. Okay. Have you ever been to Mecca? You and me. So, it's a yes, no question. Okay? And we should change the pronoun you. So the right answer is, or the correct answer is, if, because it starts with an auxiliary, if the pronoun you is changed to I, because the object is me, and have been, present perfect. So it's changed to had been. If I had ever been to Mecca. Number 2, are you going to write an essay? The teacher asked her if she was going to write an essay. Number 3, will you create a Facebook account? She asked him if he would create a Facebook account. Let's continue with 4 and 5. Please read them and try to find answers quickly. Thank you. Let's continue. Number 4. Does your elder sister study medicine? My friend asked me. If my elder sister studied medicine. Present simple, past simple. Finally, with number 5, were the children outside the house when you arrived? Were the children when you arrived? Here is a compound question, or 2 tenses in this, 2 verbs in this question. The police asked him, have you found the correct answer? Have you done it correctly? Let's check up. If the children had been outside the house when he had arrived the flat, for example. Activity number 2. WH questions. Change the direct questions into reported or indirect questions. 1. Why didn't you come to the party? They asked him. Number 2. Where are you planning to spend your summer holiday? I asked my uncle. Please take 2 minutes and try to do them. Thank you. Let's try it here. 1. Why didn't you come to the party? They asked him. Why? You becomes he because I asked him. Didn't. It's reported as hadn't. Come. Here, the past participle form of come, came, come. It's an irregular verb to the party, and we ended it with a full stop. Why he hadn't come to the party? 2. Where are you planning to spend your summer holiday? I asked my uncle where he was planning to spend his holiday. So, you, your, both are changed. He, his, because the object is my uncle. Sentence number 4, or question number 4. Who phoned you? She asked her husband. Let's do it together. Yes. Who phoned? Past simple. Had phoned. Past perfect. And you, it is turned to him because she is asking her husband. She asked her husband who had phoned him. Number 5. How many books did you read in your last summer holiday? The teacher asked the students how many books they had read in their last summer holiday. Now we are in the last part of our meeting. It's the task now. Task number 1, yes, no questions. Report the following questions. Please read them. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to do them, please. And task 2, WH questions. Also try to report these WH questions. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's all for today. See you next time. Goodbye.